All right, welcome to the Explainer. Have you ever really stopped to think about how the phone in your hand went from just an idea to this incredibly complex device? You know, companies today are facing this massive challenge. How do you take a product from a concept, get it to the customer, and then support it for years? If you get it wrong, you're out of the game. But if you get it right, you can literally change the world. So let's break down how the best are doing it. Think about it. Your phone, your car, even the coffee maker on your counter. Every single one of them has this hidden biography, a whole story behind it. It starts with a sketch, moves through manufacturing and sales, and continues all the way to service and eventually retirement. It's a journey that involves thousands of decisions and hundreds, if not thousands, of people.
Okay, now imagine you're inside the company making that product. The engineering team, they've got one version of the story. The manufacturing team, they've got a slightly different one. And the service team out in the field, they're working from a manual based on a third version. And that is where things get messy, incredibly expensive, and just slow.
To really get why fixing this internal chaos is so unbelievably critical, we've got to look at the huge pressures coming from the outside. Modern companies are caught in something that experts call the manufacturing nutcracker. So picture this. Your company is the nut, stuck right in the middle. On one side of the nutcracker, you've got these low-cost, high-volume producers. On the other side, you've got these super high-tech, incredibly innovative competitors. To survive, you can't just be cheaper. You can't just be faster. You can't just be more innovative. You have to be all three, all at the same time. And that external pressure puts a massive strain on how a company works on the inside. And that strain from the market, from the outside world, it almost always shines a giant spotlight on a huge problem lurking on the inside. When you're forced to move that fast, any little bit of miscommunication, any inefficiency can become a total disaster. And this is what you get. We call it the islands of information problem. Each department becomes its own little island. Engineering is over here with its precious CAD models. Manufacturing is on another island with its parts lists, which, by the way, probably don't match engineering's. Marketing's working off a completely different product plan, and the service teams, they're using manuals that were outdated the day they were printed. The data is everywhere, it's duplicated, and worse, it's contradictory. And here's the real kicker. The very digital tools that were supposed to make everything efficient, the CAD files, the spreadsheets, all the databases, they end up creating the biggest bottlenecks. Instead of being a shared company asset, all that digital data actually becomes a huge roadblock to getting anything done. So, how in the world do you fix this? How do you build bridges between these islands of information and get everybody telling the exact same story? Well, that's where a really powerful business strategy comes in. It's called Product Lifecycle Management, or PLM. And this is the most important thing to get. PLM is not just a piece of software you buy off a shelf. It's a whole business philosophy. The entire goal is to create one central, absolutely reliable, shared source of truth, a single official story for every product that everyone, and I mean everyone, in the company can access and trust. PLM connects this single source of truth across the entire product lifecycle. So let's imagine a new electric car. The plan phase is deciding its range and who you're selling it to. The define phase, that's the engineers creating the 3D models and all the battery specs. Build is the actual factory floor, putting those thousands of parts together. And service, that's every software update, every repair, for the next 10 years. PLM is the digital thread that weaves through all of it, holding it all together. Okay, so let's get into the weeds here. How does PLM actually work under the hood? It's built on a few core concepts that are honestly pretty brilliant. The absolute foundation of any good PLM system is the digital vault. And I want you to think of it exactly like a bank vault. It's this super secure, centralized digital library where every single piece of product information lives. If an engineer wants to work on a file, they have to officially check it out. And when they're done, they check it back in. This simple process prevents people from accidentally overwriting each other's work and makes sure everyone is always using the latest correct version. Now, At the very heart of PLM, you have the product structure, which you'll often hear called the Bill of Materials or the BOM. And no, this is not just a simple shopping list. It is the master digital blueprint of the entire product. So for a bicycle, the BOM defines exactly how the frame assembly connects to the wheel assembly, and it knows that the wheel is made of a tire, a rim, and spokes. It links every single part and all its related data into one living, dynamic structure. And this right here, this is the real magic of PLM. It can take that single master blueprint and show it in different views for different teams. The engineering team gets to see the engineering BOM, the EBOM, which is all organized by how the product functions. But the manufacturing team, they see the manufacturing BOM, the MBOM, which is organized by how you actually assemble the thing on the factory floor. It's the exact same core data, just presented in the way that's most useful for their specific job. It's brilliant. And finally, there's the digital workflow. So if the vault is the library and the BOM is the blueprint, the workflow is the engine that keeps it all moving. It's basically a digital assembly line for information. When someone proposes a design change, the workflow automatically sends it to all the right people for review and approval. It creates this perfect digital paper trail and completely eliminates the delays that happen when a critical document gets lost in someone's email inbox. Okay, so up to now, we've talked a lot about how PLM helps companies design and build products, but its impact goes way, way beyond the factory doors. It's actually revolutionizing what happens after a product is sold. You can think of a product's life as having 3 zones. First, there's the think zone, the big idea. Second, the make zone, design and manufacturing. And third, you've got the use zone. That's the entire time the customer is actually using, servicing, and living with the product. For decades, companies were almost totally focused on the first 2 zones. But the real money, the real value, is shifting to the third. Just look at a giant like General Electric. Back in 1980, almost all their profit came from selling the product itself. Services were just a tiny 15% slice. But fast forward to 2000, and over 30% of their profits were coming from services after the initial sale. This shows a massive economic shift. The use phase isn't an afterthought anymore. For many, it's the core of their business. And PLM is the absolute key to unlocking all this value. It creates a digital bridge between the product as it was designed and the product as it's actually being maintained out in the real world. This is the whole idea behind the digital twin. By tracking the exact history of every single unit in the field, companies can predict failures, offer way smarter service, and create entirely new businesses based on performance and uptime. It's a huge trend called servitization. Okay, so let's bring it all home. When a company really commits and adopts a PLM strategy, what's the ultimate payoff? Look, the payoff is massive. By finally solving those nutcracker and islands of information problems we talked about, a company completely transforms itself. You can get better products to market faster and for less money, for sure. But the real win is unlocking all those new profits from service and support and creating a system where the knowledge from one project fuels the innovation for the next. It's not just about being more efficient, it's about building a smarter, more connected business. And that leaves us with one final kind of mind-bending thought. PLM is about way more than just efficiency. It's actually changing the definition of what a product is. What if the products of the future, your car, your phone, your home appliances, were never really finished? What if they were designed from day one to be continuously updated, serviced, and evolved throughout their lives, using a living digital blueprint that forever connects them back to their creators? That's the future that PLM is building right now.